they were able to obtain the recordings from the child maintenance service. A lot of the recordings don't make sense, and the recordings are in the wrong order. Surely that's perjury. Tampering with evidence. A lot of the recordings just don't make any sense to me at all. And that's when I look at it, is this deliberate or not? I don't know. What do you think from what I've said to you?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. It's like I say, I pay direct, so I've never really I've had issues where I've made more money and they've tried to get more money, but I pay more than what they ask for, and I just find it all weird that they've got so much power to close accounts and take money and put people to prison. It's who is behind it all then? Who's actually behind it? Is it the government? Is it a private company? Who's behind it all?
Can I come back to that point? Because that's another really, really interesting point as well. Mm-hmm. So, in March 2022, there was another public accounts committee with Arlene Sugden.
And who's this?
She was the director of the Child Maintenance Service. And she was cross-examined by Debbie Abrahams, who is an MP, about the suicides and the amount of complaints that she'd received regarding the way that clients are being treated. And the case of Johnny O'Neill that I just spoke to you about was one of the cases that she actually challenged Arlene Sugden over and said that the family have contacted you numerous times. The mother said to you numerous times, I'm really fearful for what my son's going to do. No response from the Child Maintenance Service. No response whatsoever. So what they do is they hold an internal review process when a client, is what they call you, takes their own life. And she categorically stated that they find most of the time in the internal review process that the CMS is not responsible for that person taking their own life.
Just pick up the point you were making, Arlene, that when you become aware that a client of the service has taken their life, you carry out an investigation. What comes out of that? I mean, there's an investigation report, I suppose. What do you do with that? Does anything get published? Just talk us through the
Nothing's published. I mean, the internal review process is more transparent, but we very much just look at the case notes. A lot of the time, we've had no contact with that parent for quite considerable time. So what we're looking for is any involvement of ourselves that could have had an impact. And if we think that's the case, then that's when we would refer it to the department's internal review process. But it's very much us looking at our own interaction with that parent's contact history and determining if we could have done something that may have been the final straw sort of thing. What we do tend to find in a lot of cases is a parent's in a lot of debt, and it possibly is the situation of debt as a whole. A lot of the cases we can see we have not had any contact with that parent for quite a long time. So could assume it wasn't necessarily something that we'd done that had led to that parent making that decision.
So if you conclude that you had something to do with that
if we've had recent history and we think, let's just push that through the internal review process, then we would refer that.
You hand it on to the department to that process, right? Okay.
I'm not sure we can say that just not having a recent history would indicate that the department, that there isn't an association with that. So
I mean, remember, we are having a conversation with whoever's notifying us as well of the situation, so we're trying to understand the facts from them too.
Well, it'd certainly be interesting to see what's happened in this particular case. David Lynn wants to come in, and then Sean Bailey.
Can I just ask a supplementary to that? I mean, doesn't that therefore mean that the department, in essence, is marking its own homework? And is that appropriate?
I mean, we carry out our own review. It's not necessarily, it's the leadership team that will carry out the review of what's going on. The internal process review is not ourselves that would look at that.
She made quite a bold statement by saying that their clients, most of them are in a load of debt anyway. That's quite a flippant response. Then Viscount Younger, who's just taken the position of Undersecretary of State, he said something quite contrary to that. And that's where I'm quite disturbed about different accounts, different stories that's coming from the top. And Viscount Younger said that he's just taken the position and he's read a lot of cases that have resulted in tragic circumstances. And he said that processes need to be in place to stop people from taking their own lives. So who do you think's being dishonest?
So she says because he's in other debt, it's not child maintenance problem.
Exactly. And they carry out an internal review process. Is that not like marking your own homework?
It's sad to think, because we all know suicide's on the rise and people are struggling, but that extra, when you get a debt letter and it's got the red writing and it's bold and they're consistent, it does break people down. Understand, look, people are chasing money, and if you fucked a bill or if you fucked something, then people want their money, but it's just the powers that they have. They are ruthless. It's ruthless how...
But that bill you've agreed to, that bill that's come through your door, you know what that bill is. The bill that comes through from the Child Maintenance Service or the Child Support Agency, you've got no idea. And the difference is that, you know, bills, whether it's with a bank or your mortgage company or whatever it might be, they are regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. From what I can see, there is nobody that's regulating the Child Maintenance Service.
Let's touch on the suicides again, because I think it's important for a lot of people who are going through this process and who are struggling, who don't see a way out because of the pressure and the bank accounts getting frozen, taking more money that they should. How is there anything in place for anybody to get help or seek help, or where do they turn to?
Samaritans, that's about it, really.
What about lawyers?
No.
That's more money, I know, as well.
Yeah, solicitors, because there's no legal aid assigned to child maintenance, any legal profession that you contact, they're just not interested. They'll just say, sorry, can't help you, because there's no legal aid. There's nothing in it for them.
The first set of results from data analysis showed that there was a significant problem of excess death among the paying parent population, but by contrast, the receiving parent population had a death rate some 2% lower than expected. The paying parent population split into two subgroups. Those paying parents without any arrears had a death rate elevated by 14.8% over the expected rate. But the paying parent group that had arrears had a death rate elevated by 1,428%, or in other words, a paying parent with arrears was 14.28 times more likely to die than a person of the same age and sex in the general population. My report covered a period of 34 months, from September 2017 to June 2020. In that period, there were a total of 2,871 excess deaths within the paying parent population of the Child Maintenance Service, which when averaged provides a figure of annual excess deaths of paying parents totaling 1,013. The paying parent population within the CMS is roughly split 95% fathers and 5% mothers. The paying parents who fall into arrears are in line with this percentage split. Separating the deaths of paying parents with arrears who were mothers from the overall figures, it was possible to calculate the rate of death for paying mothers with arrears and compare this to the overall rate for paying parents with arrears.